Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, Explosion Network's premium media podcast. Every week we get together to talk about movies, TV, and online content to help you answer the question, would the world have been better if At the Movies had continued to air after 2014? Yes.
Yes.
I'm your host, Ash Shelby. Join me today, Dylan Blight.
Yes. Man, what one of the saddest days in history. Maybe not history, but definitely
Australian film,
I definitely remember.
just criticism history.
Yeah, I definitely remember feeling anger actually when it was cancelled.
Apparently they were retiring. So, I don't know if you could feel
Well, I
too
was still
angry.
angry. I just remember.
It's like,
I
why
still
would you do
remember
this to
'cause-
us?
Why would they fuck me like that? It's beyond me. You know what I mean?
Right? And then David Stratton did go on to write for the Australian for another. I think
Yeah,
he
it's true.
finally retired last year.
Yeah, and Margaret was doing her Foxtel show.
Yeah, so obviously
doing, like, a
David
review
Stratton, rest in peace. A great voice, advocate of Australian film, and bringing world cinema here to Australia. So
Watch that documentary that I think I talked about on here last year.
I think I talked about it.
Did you?
Yeah,
I remember talking about it.
maybe we both talked about it at very different
At
points.
different times? Okay.
It's very possible.
Anyway, yeah, watch that documentary. It's very interesting. I vibe with the man, you know, when he's talking about, like, as a child, just wanting to note down and track everything and whatever else.
Yeah.
My man was the original letterbox, you know? So
I'll also say, turns out there are multiple seasons of the movie show, the version of the show that they did on SBS, currently on SBS On Demand. Like
Okay.
from 1996 to about 2003 when they moved to the ABC.
when it switched over to ABC, yeah.
So go watch those.
Hmm.
All right.
You can find a YouTube clip of just Margaret and David arguing on that in the movies. Is some wholesome fun.
Yeah, I just watched that clip, and I'm like, I kind of wish they'd listed what the movies they were talking about in the corner.
My favorite one ever that they argued about was Sex and the City, the movie, where I think it's like she gave it 5, he gave it half a star or 1 or whatever their lowest was, and like when she said it, it was just the most disappointed, like, oh, Margaret, you have got to be joking, you know, like just something like that, where it's like, just like you,
just disappointment.
Mm.
All right. On today's episode, we'll be talking about what's in watch history. Dylan will be talking about what he went to see at the Melbourne International Film Festival. We'll give him some thumbs to trailers and giving you this week's top 3. Kicking things off on Disney Plus this week, we got the debut of Alien Earth, a new series set in the Alien universe, set, I believe, 2 years before the events of the original Alien film, I think is the correct.
Something like that, yeah.
On people are on Earth, synths are starting to become a thing. Apparently the entire planet is ruled by, or pretty much controlled by, 5 corporations. But there is a deep space research vessel that's on its way back to Earth, carrying a bunch of specimens, including a certain creature that we know and love. And just so happens that the entire crew gets taken out all the way back to Earth, and the spaceship crashes into Earth in a Prodigy City, I believe is the company that's kind of controlling that section. And yeah, I mean, these first 2 episodes kind of focus on the ship crashing to Earth and the immediate reaction and response. We also have a girl called Wendy, who is one of the protagonists that we're focused on, who was a sick child who has been placed in the body of a older, like a grown-up person who desperately wants to reconnect with her brother, who works for Prodigy as a medic, and is gone into this spaceship. I guess that's the basic premise of the show so far. Dylan, what do you think of Alien Earth?
I love it. It's so good. I can tell it's going to be one of my favorite TV shows of the year already. Two episodes in, there was like a certain point watching where it's just like it clicked in my brain. I was like, "Fuck, this is good." To the point that I even went on their website. They got these like cool phone backgrounds you can get.
Jeez.
Like that's a Prodigy Corp one or whatever. It's like username, password. Pretty cool. Yeah, I think the thing that makes this show so good is nothing to do with the fact that it's about Alien. I think that the alien part is cool, and it definitely adds this gripping sci-fi horror element that was ever present in the rest of them. But it's just there's like a part in it where someone like throws out the nonchalant line of something like rescue the survivors by their corporate value or something like that. Something along those lines is like just thrown out by when they're rescuing stuff and something. And I think so far the stuff that has me so intrigued is just the setup of they say that Earth's ruled by 5 corporations, I think, and we know 2, Prodigy and Weyland Corporation. Weyland Corporation, of course, the main company from all the Alien films, so we know that one. Prodigy's a new one. But Weyland Corporation obviously had the ship up in space, going to get all these different alien specimens, including the alien specimen, obviously, that's on the ship when it crashes back onto Earth. But Prodigy seems to be very, they're focused highly on this innovation into hybrid technology when it comes to AI slash. Basically, they're putting the minds into these new bodies, which is when that character you're talking about comes into it. And they explain that they're using kids because they can't do it with adult brains yet, and because
more malleable to the transition.
All of that stuff is so interesting, and I just think the corporate world thing that we can, if they made the thing is when they made like the idea of like near future sci-fi stuff where corporations rule the world, not a new idea. But when you made something like this 20, 30 years ago, it was like, oh, crazy. What a world that could be. But when you watch something like this now and you go, yeah, we're headed there. You know what I mean? Like this is our future. Elon Musk is one of these companies. You know what I mean? Like we got, you've got fucking Facebook, Amazon Prime, Tesla, Twitter, whatever. Like you can sort of see the trajectory and inevitability of some of these elements. I think that group, the android cross hybrid things,
the Lost Boys,
kids, the Lost Boys, like the fact that they, name them all Smee slightly,
pretty much naming all the pirates.
Name all and she calls herself obviously Wendy. Renames herself when she transitions, I guess, to this new body. All of that's really interesting. The performances by all of those people are so great. The element to portray the kid within the brain, the kid that's within there, even though they're in adult bodies, I think all those are doing really, really well. Especially in that scene, like where Wendy's walking along with the brother, in episode 2, and he just like gives away spoils the big reveal that she was saving to have as, I guess, an emotional moment or something with her brother. And that, so slightly is the one who like it's just like, oh, you were gonna say like such a kid interaction. I thought that was quite fun, but it leads to these really emotional moments, and then you sort of have Timothy Oliphant. I think is really good in this as well. The more, I guess, earlier version of the android stuff where it's just so devoid of emotion, and he's basically teaching this group of lost kids, the Lost Boys plus Wendy, how to be non-humans, and telling them
they're not all boys, so it's fine.
Oh, true, yeah. Teaching them how to think like non-humans, like they'll say things like with human emotions within their brains, and he'll tell them that they're not humans. Don't be afraid of this, and whatever else. And then by the time we get to the end of episode 2, you've got you still don't really know where we're heading from here, because most of the stuff that's within the trailer, I think, is covered within the first 2 episodes, at least from what I could remember, which is really interesting. But like the alien is obviously You think nearly captured by this guy who's protecting it for Yutani's corporate, Wayland Yutani. Yutani.
Yeah, the original like security guard from the ship.
Yeah, and then obviously the alien gets away and all these sort of things. So it's like, where are we going now? Like, it's actually going to break out to Earth, which I guess makes sense. There was a couple of shots in the trailer from the Alien Earth trailer where you see like soldiers chasing it down, stuff like that. The opening credits montage is fantastic. I think the music is phenomenal. The overall, like, it's tense. The when the alien attacks people, it's fucked up and gory, in all the right ways. They've introduced some new. It's hard to talk about this when you're like alien, but you don't mean the alien, you mean like other types of aliens. But some of those almost like the blood sucking fucking monster thing that's like
creature,
gross,
yeah.
and glows up. That's disgusting and a cool idea. The cat alien thing was fucked up and horrible. I had my doubts about this show because I was like, how do you do an alien show? And I think it was just because I'm like, man, you're just going to spend the whole show building up until the alien shows up. And then Noah Hawley, I don't know why I doubted him. Obviously, he did such a good job of bringing Fargo. Another thing where I would have been like, how do you bring Fargo to a TV show? But he's done like, 5-6 seasons now. But it's sort of like the answer was rip the Band-Aid off. It's like, well, we're not hiding the alien. The alien's there for like first 15 minutes or whatever of the first episode. Once they get out of the way of the very Alien 1 inspired setting, the first 10-15 minutes is obviously very heavily sort of throwback to the first original Alien movie of everyone sitting around, and that was great. But then obviously the alien gets out, and you're like, okay, so we're not building up to that. It's like, here's the fucking alien. You see it straight away. So yeah, I'm loving it. I can't wait. So good.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it as well. I think they're doing a really good job of like sparingly using the alien and like kind of insinuating what happened and that kind of stuff. Like, because obviously we kind of see the demise of the crew on the spaceship is kind of hinted at, like with cuts and that kind of stuff, but we don't actually like see a full on. They don't devote a full 15-20 minutes to the entire crew being murdered.
Well, you don't know the hotel room, I guess, for the party either. Like, you see that the aftermath.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think they're utilizing a bunch of creative ways of showing the alien killing people, but not showcasing it on screen. Like in the room, which I'm so glad that they murdered all those people.
We're having a party.
Noise.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Yeah, like obviously it's like shadows and all that kind of stuff. So, that's really cool. So, yeah, I think the thing that I'm enjoying it so far, but I'm keen to see where the show goes beyond just chasing the alien down. Is it going to dive into all these things that they're kind of hinting at? Like, because that is probably what I'm more interested in. Is like,
I think it will, because based on what remember all those early reviews started dropping, I told you it was comparing it weirdly to Andor, which I was like, that's such a weird comparison. I was not expecting to have it at the show, but apparently they saw the first like 80% of the episodes or whatever. Like they didn't get to see the last couple of reviews, but everyone's very positive. So I think if they're comparing it to Andor, that only leads me to believe it's going to lean more into those elements rather than away.
Like diving into all the corporations who control everything and their relationships, and then what's it mean to be human, and the difference between the synths and the cyborgs and the hybrids and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think it's very compelling.
Very cyberpunk, really, and it's
yeah, absolutely,
like themes, I guess.
But also like weirdly like touching back on current day. Like obviously he makes a big thing about Mr. October, like modern day or recent past Spaceball. Peter Pan's like played on the screen before the transition.
As is Ice Age.
And then as people pointed out, yes, Ice Age Continental Drift. Weirdly an emotional through line.
Yeah.
Totally bizarre.
Never thought I'd see characters getting emotional and quoting lines that fucking Sid is saying on screen.
But yes. Fucking wild. Yeah, I mean, Timothy Olyphant doing really great, like playing more of the classic synth that you would expect from an Alien movie. And, you know, I think it works. And I also think, like, canon-wise, it works so far. Because you would expect the corporation to shut down all this stuff and nobody knows about. I think that was the worry. It's like, nobody's ever heard of these aliens before. Like, before and then Alien happens 2 years later.
Yeah, I mean, I know in interviews, Noah had said like, oh, like it fits into the timeline, but he's not. He said it's
Not too
he's
concerned.
sort of pretending he's not too concerned. Basically, pretending Prometheus didn't happen.
Also,
Which
these people are in
didn't
cryo
take-
sleep all the time. They're not checking
Yeah.
the news.
No. Also, that line people got like now taken as like this show doesn't fit or whatever. I'm like, I always took the line as not too fussed about thinking about Prometheus as him not being like, I'm going to make it work, as in it doesn't really matter. Like he doesn't
Yeah,
think
it's
about
like Terminator.
it. Yeah, it's like
All these universes exist.
you know the weirdest thing about the show though is the fact that it's on Earth. Like the fact that like Aliens had so many movies, and the closest we ever got to Earth in that franchise was they're like on a ship, and it tells you it's like on the outer rim, or like floating on the rim of the Earth or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's a bunch of movies about the survival of humanity, basically, but you never see Earth. It's always like,
Well, now it's a really interesting futuristic Earth as well. You know, only getting like tiny tidbits of all the different characters and all that. So I'm keen for the world to expand beyond just this mission or this
You know what I have found interesting though is because we first see a big cityscape, and I was like, yeah, the typical sort of like big cement factory of the future of Earth. But then they do show that where Prodigy is very green and luscious. I'm like, okay, is that fake or is that like with? Because you know what I mean?
No,
like
that's
usually
because they're rich. He's a
but you know what I mean? Like
course he's
usually
gonna have
futuristic stuff go like down the line of like obviously we've killed the planet, which is the direction we're headed likely.
Yes.
So like the fact that they showed a very lush area, I was like, oh, interesting.
We haven't killed in 100 years. Still time. All right. Anything else you want to touch on this before we move on?
No, I'll just reiterate again how good that intro is. I love I'm never going to skip the intro to the show because they change it up both episodes so far, and it's just very creepy and seems to tease potential like what's going to have come in there. I think it's a cool intro.
All right. You went out and watched Life of Chuck.
As if I haven't talked enough. Now you're going to make me talk about.
I'm going to make you talk so much. Today is just the Dylan Talking show. All right. I'm saving all your MIFF stuff for its own segment. But you did find time, amongst the multiple movies that you went to go see The Life of Chuck, the latest film from Mike Flanagan, based on a Stephen King book. That's kind of all I know about it.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't even look up more. I didn't know anything about the movie really either, other than that, to be honest. Like, I'd watched the trailer, but I didn't really understand what the trailer...
I mean, the trailer does nothing to sell the plot.
It just shows a bunch of characters, like, you know, it gives the elements of sad, funny, so, you know, like, maybe the world's ending, maybe people are dying. Like, you know, it's just a bunch of ideas in the trailer, and you're like, I don't know what this is about. So, yeah, and I've never read the short story or anything, and I hadn't read or looked up or anything, so... the one time I was listening to Big Picture and they started talking about spoilers, I turned the episode off. Sorry, guys, but yeah. I loved it though. I would. It's not to be too outlandish and jump straight to there. I think this is probably one of my favorite movies of the year. I'm a bit of a Mike Flanagan fanboy, so take that with a grain of salt if you want. But I mean, I don't think I'd not criticize his stuff if I didn't think it was there. But I think that if this movie hits for you when the credits start rolling, it'll probably be one of your favorite things you watch this year. Or if it doesn't hit, you're going to be like, what was the point of that? I feel like there's only two elements of coming out the other end of this movie. It's also really hard to talk about spoilers, to be honest. But the movie is broken up into 3 acts. It does go backwards. It's interesting. We start at Act 3, then we go Act 2, Act 1. So we do go backwards in the way things play out. And I think that the thing is that Act 1 or Act 3, I guess. Act 3 is so interesting. And then when you start getting into Act 2 and then Act 1 and go backwards, they're so different to the rest of it that I can understand how some people would disconnect after the first break between acts, especially because we do change characters at that point. And I'm trying to. It's really hard to talk about spoilers. I think I also sort of got it. Like halfway through, there was something that happened like halfway through the second act where I was like, oh, I can see where we're going with this. Like I sort of, and not in the way that like ruined the movie with the spoiler, but sort of helped me just like emotionally prepare and get ready for the direction we're sort of headed. and not really even like know fully what the movie was trying to say, but like instead of having this big reveal, I guess, and then trying to work it out later, I was more able to, once the movie sort of revealed itself properly to me somewhat, I was already sort of there, and I was already trying to unpack what it all meant somewhat. This movie has several other things going for it, which is it's got a really great cast. Everyone in it's fantastic. Mike Flanagan is using a lot of his regulars in small to larger parts. I would nearly say, it's weird. Tom Hiddleston is Chuck, the lead character on the poster and everything. However, he's not the first character you meet, so it's sort of hard to like say if he's the lead or not. He also has like split amount of time, I'd nearly say, with how do you fuck it? Chiwetel eligible? How do you say his name?
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Fuck, I struggle with his name. I reckon those two actually get the same amount of screen time, to be completely honest. So, but so they're backed by a bunch of other people, including like Mark Hamill, who's great in this. Matthew Lillard gets like I thought he was really fantastic in probably the 5 minutes he get. Bunch of other people as well, like Karen Gillan's really good in it, and a bunch of other actors and stuff. I will say that Tom Hiddleston gets a dance sequence in this movie that is absolutely phenomenal, and if it doesn't make you smile, you have no soul. It go like, it's not like a 30-second like, oh, this was a bit. It's like a fucking 5-minute dance ensemble that he does in the second act of this movie that it is really, really special. Yeah, I mean, I think by the time you get to the end of the movie, if you're aboard with the journey it's trying to take you on, and you're emotionally connected to what I think it's trying to say, or it's not even like, I don't think it's any too deep further than what it's like. I feel like if you overthink it, you could probably ruin it for yourself. But I do think it's almost like, just go with the surface level emotion of what you think this movie is about, and that's probably the answer. And go with that. And if that works for you, that works for you. No, it did work for me. I thought absolutely fantastic. I was glued to the screen the whole time, and when the credits started rolling, I remember like walking out of the movie theater because I had like, I don't know, half an hour between this and the next movie, and all I did was I went and grabbed a quick snack, and I was just thinking about it the entire time and just being like, oh, that was good. That was such a good time. So, yeah, really good.
All right. Then you watched Nobody 2, the sequel to the 2001 film starring Bob Odenkirk as a retired hitman who gets dragged back in. This time he's on holiday, and then he gets dragged back in.
So, this one starts with Bob Odenkirk's character. He's now doing a bunch of jobs for the I can't even remember what the company's called. Who cares? Anyway, it's a company that's run by the barber character, Colin Salmon's character from the first film. Because it's revealed he's basically paying back a bunch of money because they paid off the Russian mob because of what he did in the first film. So he's like trying to pay him back, basically. And he's having family troubles, and because he's at work so much. So he says, like, let's go on a holiday. So for some reason he goes, oh, the place I remember going to as a kid, where his dad took him. His dad, of course, played by fuck, why am I mental blanking on his? Christopher Lloyd. Sorry, his dad played by Christopher Lloyd. They're like, oh, I'll go there, never thinking about the fact that his dad did the same thing that he does now, and if his dad took him on a holiday somewhere, it probably wasn't actually a holiday. It potentially was because he was pretending it was a holiday, even though he was on work, which is what turns out to be true. Because they go to this like spring holiday, like swimming and arcade games and whatever else sort of place, and quickly discover that it's like, that is a thing there, and it's sort of the front end for what is a in the back end a bunch of guns and drugs and whatever being run through that place, and is controlled by basically some mob empire that's run by Sharon Stone. And then John Ortiz is the second in charge sort of thing. So he gets mixed up in all that and fights and shoe, I guess, is the setup. I think it's okay. I had fun with it because like I like Bob Odenkirk, I guess. Connie Nielsen is good in this as well. I will say that basically everyone else I didn't like though. Well, I mean John Ortiz is John Ortiz. I don't think he's doing anything he's just the same sort of character he's supposed to be, completely honest. Sharon Stone, I really didn't like in this. It was like so over. I don't know. It's just, I think it was a combination of her trying to play this like sexy badass character that I don't know. I didn't like her haircut in this movie, and there's just all these there's all these elements combining that just did not vibe with it as well. I was like, you're not a bad guy. You're not like, I cannot pitch you as like they kept trying to sell me as, I was just like, you're just annoying. I can't buy in as well. Also, Colin Hanks plays like this corrupt sheriff of the town. I'm like, it's Colin Hanks. Like, I'm sorry, I'm struggling to take you serious in this role, but yeah. I think the action's fun. It's more frenetic than the first film. Overall, this film is a lot more colorful, and I think trying to have more fun than the first film, which I do think is its sort of downfall. The first film had this like film noir vibe to it at times. It was a lot darker. I don't mean it like tonally, like it was still fun at times, but it did feel like, and I think I said this in my Instagram post about it, but it did feel like a almost like a man falling down. It's like, you know, it's the man who cracks and goes on this sort of spree to get back at what's happened to him and his family. I mean, and which isn't too different because it was still written by Chad Zaleski, of course, the character, or Derek Kolstad, sorry. I forget which one of the John Wick people I'm talking about sometimes. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as John Wick. Obviously, it's a man with a secret background, Tick Tick, who then has something happen and then has to come out of like hiding to get revenge, like Tick Tick. That's what happens in the first Nobody. It's what happens in the first John Wick. But I do think whereas John Wick 2 moved the universe and kept and built upon what worked and whatever else, I do feel like this takes a different turn to make it feel more fun, which may be true, but like that's definitely because of the change of director and change of writer and as well. Like it's directed by Timo Gitanto, who he's done like stuff in the VHS films. He's done the movie Headshot, bunch of like and all the action that's like super high pace and cameras falling to the ground and whatever else, and his VHS stuff is always like sort of action horror stuff as well, and you can feel all those elements in this, but I don't know if I loved it for this series. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to watch in the cinema at least.
One more thing before you take a little tiny break.
You're good.
You finished watching Smoke, the Apple TV's Plus miniseries about an investigation into a bunch of arsons.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this series. I think my favorite thing about watching this, there was 9 episodes, by the way, weird number for a series, but anyway. I think my favorite thing watching it is just Taron Egerton's performance, which went from early being like, I remember watching it going, it just feels like it was a little bit too try-hardy. I'm like, you're just trying to be a bit too weird. And by the end of the series, I was like, you know what? Nah, it's perfect. You are just a creepy dude, and I don't like you at all. So, perfection there. I have no idea if they're going to try and set up to do a second season of this or not, but the first season wraps up well enough for me if they don't try and do a second one. They could continue the story, I guess, if they really wanted to, but it's fine where it ends. But yeah, I mean, it's talked about before. Obviously, it's Taron Egerton playing. I'm going to slightly spoil what I didn't think I spoiled last time, which is whatever. It's finished now, so. But like Taron Egerton plays this character Dave Goodson, who is paired up with Junie Smollett's character to investigate these fires they're breaking out. One of the people they capture early in the series is this dude who's working like after like the first 4 episodes, whatever, was a dude who's working at like a takeaway store. The other person they're trying to track down is spoilers, is Dave himself, who's setting all these fires and has been for years. He's like a fire investigator who's also setting fires, and he like puts on this coat and hat and walks into places limping, and he has this whole thing where he like ties a cigarette around. Like you literally get to hear the dude like in the first episode talk about how this guy sets up. And you can tell he's like sort of jerking himself off, talking about how smart the contraption is, and then it's like, well, later on when it's revealed it's him, it's like he was just fucking jerking his own dick. But Yeah, by day he plays a family man to a degree. Like he's with this this girl who has a kid, not his kid, but like he's the stepdad basically. And he's writing a novel, and he somehow knows all these details about how he can write about first person view about how these fires are started, and which is an element to how they start investigating him later in the series and stuff like that. John Leguizamo's in it. Comes into it after the first couple episodes. He's really good. Not that he's doing anything that he doesn't usually do, but he is playing a drunken, disgruntled ex-cop who lost his job because of Dave years prior when he accused him of being a guy who was starting fires. So, of course, he wants to get revenge and stuff like that. But, yeah, it's just sort of I think as it progresses, it became like an interesting look at how far some people go to get the results they want. The inner violence, I guess, inside of people. It's like people who start fires. It's like, why do they do that? Like, there's definitely. I don't think the show really tries to answer that question fully, but it does show I think it attempts to show, at least in a few scenes, like the disgusting nature of what's happening when they're watching these fires happening, like people basically burning, dying, and coming down. But then they do show, like, for them, it's like, mad, like the most beautiful sight ever. It's like so good, Yeah, so I think another good Apple TV Plus show.
All right. I watched the pilot episode of the new Prime Video show Butterfly, starring Daniel Day Kim. He plays a former intelligence agent who founded a shadowy organization called Cadis before going into hiding by faking his death. And he's disappeared for like 10 years. But resurfaces after he finds out his daughter is currently working for that organization. In his stead. And, the first episode is pretty much him trying to reunite with his daughter by, luring her out in a mission in South Korea, where it seems like most of the series is set. Yeah, so you got Daniel Day Kim, you've got new actress Raina Hardesty is his daughter Rebecca, and then you got Piper Perabo. Remember that name from
Does ring a bell. Do I know it?
Coyote Ugly? She was in a bunch of like that era kind of films.
Yeah.
Yeah, she plays like the new head of Cadis, and is kind of running it in like they're very much more of a sinister organization, I guess, like performing strikes against US allies and the US itself, and like they take out a big Russian politician at the start of the episode, like one of the main missions. Yeah, I mean, it's very much in the vein of a lot of these other Prime Video series that these action adventure kind of shows. Like it feels like they're kind of a dime a dozen now. Like maybe not as good as something like a Reacher or the first couple of seasons of Reacher, but is definitely enjoyable and an easy watch. And like only 6 episodes. Daniel Day Kim is very charming in his role. Yeah, not
what was
a lot.
The first thing you ever saw him in?
A trailer
I
for
feel
Lost.
like I know. Yeah, I was going to say. I feel like most people, myself included, like just always think whenever I see him, I just go, and this is gonna sound mean, but I'm like, oh, the Asian dude from Lost. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, the one guy.
I think weirdly he might be the most successful person out of Lost, the cast.
I mean, I mean, she was in Marvel. What's her face?
Evangeline Lilly.
Which I used to like until she turned into an anti-vaxxer. So
no, but he Daniel Day Kim does a lot of behind the scenes stuff as well. He's like produces a bunch of stuff. So I think overall of the cast might have been the most successful. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah,
you big Matthew Fox fan? I don't know.
Yeah,
where's he been?
We got him back.
All right. That's everything in our watch history, except Dylan ventured all the way north, across the ocean, to go see a stack of movies over the course of 3 days. So let's run through them. Dylan, talk to me about Well, do you want to just give your overall opinion on MIFF this year? Like, how's your experience?
Look, I watched 7 movies.
Yes.
I had a great time. I flew in Friday, watched 2 that evening. Saturday, I watched 5, including the 2 I just talked about, so 3.
According to
Then I
Trakt,
watched
you
2
were in
on
the cinema
Sunday.
for 8 hours, 17 minutes.
Yeah, so I have no free time, basically no free time between every. When you count, like, this is different cinemas, obviously. Like, quite often I was leaving a cinema, walking tram, walk a bit more, get to the cinema, and be like, cool, I've got like 10, 15 minutes to sit down before the next movie starts. And that was my couple of days, which is great. I loved it. I would have happily kept it going, you know? It's a good time.
Next week, 2 weeks. 2 weekends.
Yeah. It's funny though, like I was tramming backwards and forwards a couple times. I'd see the dude who was he come up on stage sometimes and introduce the films, who was like one of the programming directors or whatever. And I'd see him like jumping on the tram, like different spots, like obviously just tramming to a different cinema to go introduce a different film and stuff like that. I'd see different people at different cinemas across a couple of days. So yeah, it's good. I also say, when you're watching films, I think at something like this at a film festival, I do think is obviously just a lot different to going to a regular movie theater on a Wednesday, Thursday night. It is full of a bunch of people and I'm not even, it sounds like a joke. A, wash their hands. And B,
put their phones.
Well, they put their phones away, but they pull them out very quickly when the credits start rolling, and all fucking open, fucking letterbox like maniacs. It's no Trakt in sight, but I've never seen people like robots more. As soon as the credits open, just everyone around me, and I can see rows in front of me. Everyone's just open letterbox to quickly to log in. It's wild. Yeah, no, good time. All right, where do you want me to start?
All right,
we're doing in order, or what?
In order. So, talk to me about We Bury the Dead. We're set somewhere very familiar to you.
Yes, I started my first MIFF journey this year by checking out We Bury the Dead, which is a film set in Tasmania, filmed somewhat in Tasmania, some parts in Western Australia, I think, but
Western Australia for Tasmania.
Yeah, close enough. New film by Zach Hilditch, the director of These Final Hours, which is another Australian film very thematically similar to this, or the Netflix film 1922, the Stephen King adaptation. But I'm mentioning These Final Hours because this definitely feels in the same vein, and it's also when he jumped on stage to introduce the film, said that obviously this is something of a continuation of the same themes. These Final Hours is a I think it's set. Is it in Melbourne or Queensland? I can't remember. Anyway, it's about a dude who basically, it's like the world's ending, 24 hours. What happens? What's he do with his Perth? Fuck, I wasn't even close. But it's like, yeah, what happens in the final 24? What does someone do with their final 24 hours? And the you're like, doom's coming, the apocalypse is coming, everyone's gonna die. We're Buried the Dead is sort of something on the opposite end, where it's like the apocalypse has happened only in Tasmania. Because as silly, this is not even silly. This is literally how the movie starts. It's like, like newsreels and stuff like that. It's like the US has set off an experimental weapon off the south of Hobart, setting off a massive explosion near Hobart, fucking burns up half of the south of Tassie, places on fire, then a shockwave goes through, and then every other Tasmanian is dead. Wow.
And the world celebrates. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm very proud. So Daisy Ridley plays Ava, who is so she's American. Well, she's not in real life. She's British, which I guess, but she's American in this film, and her husband, who I can't remember the name, but her husband's name was Mitchell something. And he was in Hobart doing like a work retreat at the time everything happened. So she's volunteered to come down, obviously under the pretense of hoping to get down to Hobart to find out what happened to her husband, because they had heard rumors, which are soon confirmed to be true once they get to Tassie, which is that there is a slight zombie element to this, which is that sometimes people are coming back to life, not really doing anything. They're just brain dead. And the first 20 minutes of the movie, you see a lot of this was shot in Tassie because I was recognizing a lot of the places and buildings and stuff. And one shot was from up near my work actually, but they, which is always, I don't quite often get to place spot the locale in things I watch, but they're going through these basically everyone has volunteered. They're going through houses and they're finding the dead and they're pulling them into garbage bag or body bags, whatever, and they're taking them out. They get given these flares that if they find someone who's come back, quote unquote, they light, and the army comes in and does what I guess is the most humane thing to do to a brain dead person, which is they just shoot them fucking properly dead. Which just set up this interesting dilemma early in the movie where Ava stares into the soul of this person who's staring back at her, and you can tell she's trying to search for if she finds a husband like this, is there anything she could do? You can tell that's what the progress is going for, and that sort of sets up the morality early in the film. And then she meets this person played by I can't remember his name. I'm not even trying to guess, but I can't remember the actor's name. But I'll say Q&A after the show talked about how it was originally supposed to be played by Luke Hemsworth, who dropped out of the movie for scheduling conflicts a week before shooting, knew this guy, called him, said, "Hey, can you please do this part? Because I think you would be good for it. Also, if I don't find someone to do it for me, I could be sued because I'm yeah." So anyway, this guy does it for him. But then after he said that, I kept trying to picture Luke Hemsworth in this role, and I'm like, interesting, because it doesn't. They don't look the same. But anyway,
is it Brendan Thwaites from?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
From How We Make Gravy. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So he plays a very tradie type dude who's down here, singlet wearing, smoking a lot. He finds cocaine in the house. He's snorting that off the desk while they're dealing with these bodies and stuff. He's having a time. Very interesting character because you're like, why is this guy volunteered to come do this? Doesn't seem like anyone would come volunteer to do this sort of thing. Nonetheless, figure that out later. So him and Ava Daisy Ridley's character team up. They find a bike early in the movie, a motorcycle. He's like, man, I'd love to steal this bike. And she's like, let's do it. You steal the bike. You help me get to Hobart to find my husband. Deal. So they sort of set off on a road trip. I found it very funny as someone who lives here. She's writing on a map because she's American, obviously, how many hundreds of miles it is to get from where they are in northern Tassie to down to Hobart. And she's like, oh yeah, so how many fucking miles it is. I'm going, lady, it's about a 2-hour drive. What are we talking about? It's not that big of an island. You can drive around in a day. What are we talking about? So they set off on this day. I will say though, the most interesting character and I think heart of the movie comes in when Mark Cole Smith's character shows up, who plays he's an army dude. And between him and Daisy Ridley, they have the best scenes. They have a lot of one-on-one scenes in this sort of the mid part of the movie, where it really digs into the morality, I think, of the movie and its core theme, which is just about dealing with grief and what you do with grief. You've got Daisy Ridley's character she knows her husband's dead deep down. It doesn't matter if he's brain dead or dead. He's dead. She's just trying to process the grief, and the movie is all about processing that grief. And as is his character for different sorts of things, which make for the best part of the movie. I will say though, in the later half of the film, without giving away spoilers, they make the zombies a bit more, or the non-zombies a bit more normal zombies, which does feel like he just felt when Zach was writing it, he fell into I got to make it a bit more interesting or a bit more it's a bit too somber, or I don't know. I'm like, nah, dude, you sort of you sort of, I won't say ruined your own movie, but I really feel like it didn't play. I was like, it didn't feel necessary at all to go in certain directions to go. So, but overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good thematically. The performances were good, and obviously points for being in Tassie. So,
all right. We Bury the Dead comes to Australian cinemas on the 9th of October. You then went to see Beast of War, an Australian film.
Yep, no Australian film. I did started my MIFF with a double Aussie feature. So
Really,
this one also
really expressing the current day plight of Australians in these two movies.
what sharks and zombies.
Yep.
So Beast of War stars Mark Goldsmith, who I just mentioned as being really good in that other movie. He stars in this one. He's also very good in this movie. So shout out to him. Very funny to me though, because watch the first movie. He did at the end of We Buried the Dead, they did a Q&A afterwards, which I stayed for. Watched that. They had like half an hour between the movies by the time the Q&A finished. So did that, watched all that. And then the second film, when Beast of War started, the movie started, and then like 2 minutes into it, he like sat down 2 rows in front of me and just watched the entire movie from there. Which I took it as his reaction to a lot of things. I'm like, this is the first time he's seen the movie in full, I feel, since he shot it potentially. Like he just seemed very like into it. Or maybe not, I don't know, but he was going to die. And then he like ran up to the stage to do a Q&A for this movie afterwards. I was like, my dude's busy. But so this is from Kia Roche Turner, who did the Wormwood movies and Sting last year. The dude who was hosting the Q&A made a joke about how he's just making movies about what can kill you in Australia now between giant spiders and now big fucking sharks. Yep. This movie is interestingly inspired by true events, although when Kia Roche Turner introduced the movie before it started, he made sure to say, hey, I read a bunch of books about this true story stuff. They were bleak. They were horrible. I said, I can never make a movie about that. So I just took the bare basics and sort of this, like, which you can see.
Yeah, the real story is more depressing.
Yeah, he said the real story is like really depressing. Like he's like, what the people went through in real life is like in this it's like horrible, but like in a fun horrible way. He's like, it's fucking sad and horrible. Like, sort of, yeah. Because it's so the real element is it's World War II, a bunch of Australian soldiers on a ship. Ship is attacked by Japanese planes. Ship, sinks or whatever. There and then 6-7 soldiers I think are like aboard like basically a sheet of the ship, like a part of the ship like floating in the sea. Great white shark shows up, starts attacking them and shit like that. So that's like the element of the true story part. They're in the middle of the Timor Sea, so like halfway between I think Darwin they left and like to where the destination was. But yeah, what I didn't expect with this movie though, based on I never watched. I don't know if the trailer dropped. I never watched it. I'd seen the poster or whatever, but was it does have a weird, well, not weird, but just surprising First Nations element back into it. So Mark Goldsmith is as the lead. When they spends the first third of the movie introducing his whole like the platoon he's a part of before they head off on this mission, and you get to see a lot of and again they do a lot of these elements still with keeping with the film's tone, which is sort of fun horror movie vibe, and at times quite funny. I had the cinema laughing a bit, but like he's a First Nations part of he's a First Nations person, part of the army. They have jokes in there about like how people are like, oh, we're all paid the same. He points out he's only paid the third, the same as the white white Australians in the room. There's one dude who he's constantly getting into fights with, who's saying quite racist stuff, and then you can tell that obviously he's gonna have to rely on him at some stage in the future of the movie where, the dude who he hates, like the typical sort of racist has to learn that he's a fuckhead storyline stuff. But so I didn't expect any of that. He keeps having flashbacks to someone like getting attacked in a body of water, which comes further, shows up later in the movie as well. So then they head out to sea. When they're out at sea, it is a mix of when the shark attacks, it is gory fun time, and not like gross out gore. It's like it's a lot of blood, but it's also it's meant to be fun, and you can tell that that's sort of what they're going for. It's also quite funny at times. Like early in the movie, this actor Sam Parson, which I'll say the dude sitting behind me, I was listening to him before the movie started, kept mentioning that he knew this dude and how he worked. Sam Parson worked as a Parson or something, something like that. He worked at the bottle shop where he lived. years ago before he started actor. I'm listening to this dude like tell this other guy who, by the way, they never met before. They sat down. This dude's like, it was like the most wholesome interaction, weird thing I heard. Where it's like he's like, yeah, man, I'm learning a bit. And they're chatting. He's like, yeah, I know him. Like it's all great time. He's like, do you want some of my popcorn, man? He's like, yeah, man, thanks, I love popcorn. Anyway, as I was saying, you don't get these movie experiences.
No.
So they're having this whole back and forth. And then I'm like listening, like, oh, maybe he does know too, maybe he doesn't, maybe full shit, maybe just whatever. And then right at the end of the movie, before all the actors were like in the crowd watching the movie at the time. And he comes out, and the two goes, Sam, and then he comes out, he's like, hey man, how are you? Like right next to me, because he was right behind me. I was like, okay, so he wasn't bullshitting. He didn't, he didn't know my dude. Fun story. He's quite good. Like he has when they rescue him early in the movie, he's got like a whole like gaping head wound or whatever. So I like tape it up because you can tell it's like causing him to have dilemma. And he has this like running joke throughout the movie where like quite often like people are like, what should we do? Oh my, people are, like real serious, like there's a fucking shark. And you'd be like, well, what we could do, and someone would be like, don't fucking say it. And be like, we could go to the ship. And then everyone's like, the ship fucking sunk. And it's like a recurring joke because of their head injury. He'll be like, well, guys, we could just go to the ship. The ship doesn't fucking like it's it becomes quite a funny bit. But I think if a lot of the characters are sort of to be a bit more comedic, Mark Goldsmith's like the more the more serious lead character in it, and he does quite a good job at doing that. I mean, even if there are elements of this movie where they're getting attacked by a great white shark, and the solution is let's throw fucking grenades at it in the water, which just seems not good, not smart. The 1 to 100 chance of that working, but it does anyway. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I would say though, and this is I'm not saying this is a bad way. This is definitely the most Australian movie I've watched in a long time. Like it has people arguing about which is better between VB and fucking some other
Forex.
I don't know. Foster's.
No, Foster's. Yeah, okay.
Foster's. It's like which is better, Foster's or VB? You know, like sort of like classic fucking. It's a very ochre.
Very ochre movie.
Yeah.
All right. No release date for Beast of War at the moment. I assume we'll do the festival screening schedule.
They're doing a festival screening at, I think the next one's American Horror Film Festival. I can't remember which one, but next in a couple weeks, like next month or something. Yeah.
They're doing the festival circuit.
This was the debut. This is the first festival it played at, which is cool because I've seen movies obviously at MIFF last year and this year where, like it's the first time it's playing in Australia.
Yeah.
I can't say I've ever seen a movie where it's world premiere.
Jeff. Then you watched Blue Moon, starring Margaret Qualley and Ethan Hawke.
Mm-hmm. So Blue Moon is one of two Richard Linklater movies that are supposed to come out this year or within the next 12 months. But it's true story, or it's based on diaries, basically. Letters. It's based on letters between Lorenz Hart, played by Ethan Hawke, and Elizabeth. I can't remember her last name, but Margaret Qualley's character. I just know he says the word Elizabeth so many times. It's fucking. There we go. So many times as me. But so it's right after his Lorenz Hart's partner Richard Rogers, who's played by Andrew Scott, has just debuted his first play with Oscar Hammerstein. Oklahoma, which of course we know now in the year 2025 does go on indeed to become a huge hit, part of basically American school system sort of big hit thing, which
the theatre for some the musical theatre.
Yeah, very very much. So Lorenz Hart, like basically the movie starts with him leaving that, being horrified with how bad it is, going to a bar. And the first, I'll say, this is a very small cast. It's very, the entire movie, other than, the first scene, all takes place within this bar, basically. Like, there's a 15-second bit at the start, and, some street quickly, but, 99% of the movie all takes place in the bar, and almost plays out like a stage play. I'm not saying that in a bad way either. It's just a very interesting way to play. It's a hit. I was thinking at some stage watching this, fuck, the script for this must be a lot. And Ethan Hawke has so much dialogue, ridiculously long lengths of dialogue. This movie is a lot of him talking. I'd love to see the script percentage breakdown of just him waffling on as Lorenz Hart in this movie. Because he's a talker, apparently. He is a fucking talker. So he walks into this bar. Bobby Cannavale plays the bartender. I can't remember the actor's name, but it's the dude in the back playing the piano. And the first, I don't know, like half an hour, 40 minutes just feels like those three characters just talking. They're just going on. Lorenz Hart's going on about how Oklahama's the worst thing ever. Says it's he's like, he knows that it'll go on to be, he's like, I know it'll go on to be loved in schools and all these sorts of things, but he's like, it is trash. Like, he's like, the jokes are terrible, that sort of thing. Like, and he's like, this, he makes fun of all the characters. If you know anything about Oklahoma, like Oklahoma, or just the bare bones of the, I'm struggling with words. I gotta talk a lot, leave me alone. The bare bones, like just the yeehaw Americanisms of that story and play, makes fun of all of that. It's great. In between all of this, he's talking about how this girl Elizabeth is coming tonight, Margaret Qualley's character, and how he's like, this is the most beautiful girl ever. Very early, Bobby Cannavale characters that bartend straight away, like this guy's basically says, I thought you were gay. Like, and then he goes, a lot of people have said that, but I just love beauty. And I think that's a big part that goes through to the story. I guess the perspective it tries to have on Lorenz Hart as a person, which is, it comes up with some quotes as the movie starts about, like, from different people saying, like, he was the saddest fucking person I ever knew, or like all these sorts of things. But I think the movie really just tries to say, like, he is a very sad person, and you see that, and Ethan Hawke does a very good job at portraying that. But he's also a person who you can tell by watching it is very passionate, and as much as he says it early in this film, like, he's also someone just enamored by people he finds beautiful, and not like a sexual way. Like, it's just like, you can tell he's just like, man, if he thinks man, woman, whatever, if he found that he thought they were stunning, he wanted their attention. Like, it's a very, like, sort of interesting thing. Ethan Hawke is amazing in this. Everyone else is very good, but he is fucking, between the amount of lines he has and such a good job he does as just, like, he's talks so much, but then he does so much with just his performance on his face and all these little silly bits he does. It's very funny at times. It's also very sad. Very interesting, I guess. Is like, I know very minimal about these people, and I honestly know not a lot more from watching this. This isn't that type of movie. This isn't a biopic. It's a snapshot, basically real time, 90 minutes in this bar between these people, because it's like he's there for half an hour waffling along. Then in comes the rest of the characters. They're there to celebrate the Oklahoma after its first night. They're all celebrating. He's shit talked the movie for 40 minutes to the bartender. Then, of course, Andrew Scott and everyone walks in. He's like, it was so good. Like, just out of bullshit. It's a lot of fun to watch.
All right, then you watched a classic video game adaptation, Exit 8, a Japanese movie about a Japanese creepy game.
Yeah, so Exit 8 is...
Blue Moon coming to Stransom is 22nd of January. There you go.
Next year?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
It's a small indie movie, so...
Yeah, okay, I can't put that in my... Like, as I say, he would 100% be making my, like, top performers list, but anyway, not this year. All right, Exit 8, based on the video game, indie video game. And basically, it's like you play as a dude in a subway. You're like walking around in loops to escape. You've got to spot these differences. Basically, it's meant to be a creepy time. Took off with Twitch streamers and spawned a lot of similar types of games and stuff like that. I think this movie does a really good job at taking the core bit and somehow making it work for 90 minutes. Because you're like, how the fuck do you turn that into a 90-minute movie with someone walking around in circles? And so, yeah, what they do is they add a backing. So you're introduced to they start the movie weirdly, and I didn't see it coming. They started in first person, and I think the first like 10, 15 minutes are all first person, like like head cam sort of style. And then they break from that. But it does help center you into the headspace of the I don't think they ever name him, but like the lost dude, right? Who basically gets off this subway. His girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, I'm not sure the full relationship, calls and says, "I'm at the hospital. I didn't tell you I'm pregnant." Blah blah blah. He's like walking up subways. It's happening. She's like, "What do you want to do?" Conversation breaks up. So as he gets lost in the subway in this looping bit, he's already in the back of his mind. He's like thinking about, "Oh my god, she just told me pregnant." Blah blah blah. So it's about, he's going to make a decision, which does become part of the sort of, I don't think too on the nose, but like obviously it's about like breaking the cycle and making decisions, because it also starts with him on a subway in the first person view, where he has headphones in and you hear the music because it's like first person at the time, but he takes his headphones out. This baby's crying on the subway. This dude just yells like at the woman and the child and says, "Can you shut the fucking baby up? Like, who chooses to bring a child on the subway this early in the morning?" Blah 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 blah. Looks around. Everyone just doesn't say anything. No one says, "Hey man, stop yelling at the woman and the baby. That's fucked up." No one says anything else happen. Even our dude, watch it, just looks, goes, "No, put headphones back in." Puts it, so just chooses to let it happen, sort of thing. Once he gets into the loop, I could tell that there was some people in the audience who were getting a lot of the ref, because as soon as it's like he get the first part, I've never played the game, but I've watched some Twitch streams or whatever. But like there's this, it's the first part is always like you walk into this main area and there's a dude that just like walks past. So the first time that happens is just the autopilot man. It's like everyone like some people just start cheering, like they were so happy that the dude
Jeez.
the dude's there. But yeah, so then he like, I think he does like 3 laps before like going on, and then they break into normal film mode. As he starts after the 3rd lap of seeing the guy and whatever else, he's like, I guess realizes I'm fucking stuck, sort of thing. So from then he has to, he starts having to figure out the rules to escape, which is spotting the anomalies. And then if you spot an anomaly, you have to go backwards. If you don't spot an anomaly, go forwards. If you fuck it up, there's a sign right before like the reset count that's will reset. So you need to go like 8 laps. I don't think, without fully spoiling it, he's not the only character in the movie. You do see the loop from a different point of view as well. And there is a 3rd character also introduced in the last quarter of the movie, I guess, that is like sort of again comes back to the question about the kid for him in the future, and it ties it all back to that. I think by the end it gets to the where are we? Do you want to be on the hamster wheel, or do you want to get off? Do you want to make decisions for yourself? I think also it really works within the confines of Japan, especially just because of their subways. Obviously, so you picture that like it's just. And they said, I know the dude who created the game said it was inspired by specific Japanese subways. These specific ones, very white, looks all the same. Liminal spaces is I think like for these, rooms that look all the same, like an eerie feeling about them. And you got that from the subway. And just the fact that, the subways are so jam-packed of just businessmen at 7, 8 a.m. and everyone just sort of roboto mode, going to work, coming back, subway, back to work. The next, they're just doing that. They're on the hamster wheel sort of thing. So I think that's what this tries to portray. Weirdly, probably one of the best video games we've had, but video game adaptations we've had. But I mean, obviously the bar is still a mixed bag. I'm not counting a lot. Obviously, The Last of Us is probably season 1's probably the top of that. But I think as far as movies go, is
it better than Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
No, it's not better. It's not better than Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I think as far as, I guess I'll put it this way, as far as like video game adaptations that do a good job at like just bringing the actual
game,
the
story,
the core game theme story, whatever, like it looks and feels exactly like the game. Obviously, it's not as large as some of these other things that people have tried to adapt, and that's probably part of the problem. But I mean, it's sort of, you can't say they didn't bring all the core things that people like about that game to life here. So.
All right. Exit 8 has no release date currently for Australia. But our next film does, that you watched, you went to see in big, giant, glorious IMAX, the Toxic Avenger.
Yep. Toxic Avenger, which they I didn't get one because I didn't go buy popcorn, I guess, but they were handing out masks for. So before they turned on, they played all they play the same like sponsor ads before every screening, which I just sit there with my headphones in and don't pay attention to. But yeah, but after all that, they turned the lights back on and got like the dude with microphones like, all right, everyone, hold up your masks. We're gonna take a photo, post on social media somewhere. But it's all these people like holding up their little Toxie masks over their face or whatever. I have no idea where that photo went. But you won't see me in it because I'm not wearing a Toxie. I don't have a mask. Or maybe you will because I don't have a mask. That's a good point. So. Yeah, so this is a new version of the Toxic Avenger, of which a late 80s, early 90s movie series that spawned an animated show and other weird shit. But it's now being brought back to life by what's his name? Marcon Blair? Oh, I feel like it. Mason Blair. Yeah. Who's mostly known as an actor but has been doing films. I think his first one was Hold the Dark, the Netflix one. But yeah, so this stars Peter Dinklage as the guy who would go on to become the Toxic Avenger. When he's turned into the Toxic Avenger, he is a different person in a suit. He's just doing the voice. Jacob Tremblay plays his son. Kevin Bacon plays basically this evil corporation mega lord dude who's like poisoning everyone and doesn't care as long as he gets rich. Elijah Wood plays his brother who's like treated like shit in the family. What's her name? I can't remember her fucking name. I saw her in something recently as well though. Anyway, there's someone who plays his wife or girlfriend, whatever. Weirdly, the girl who was it in Ted Lasso,
Sarah Niles.
Yeah, she's in this as well. Which every time I see her in something, I cannot think of anything other than Ted Lasso. I know she's in other shit, but yeah, I'm sorry, I just can't picture anything else. But yeah. All right. So anyway, the story is basically that Pete Dinklage's character finds out. Well, he's already struggling. He's a stepfather, left with the kid. It's not his kid, but was his wife's. But she passed away. So he's trying to look after, struggling money wise, all these sorts of things. He works for the company that Kevin Bacon's for as like a cleaner, mop and everything. Finds out he has cancer. Well, actually, I don't actually know if it's cancer. To be honest, this movie's full of gags. It's a very funny movie. It's not trying to be serious at all. All the violence is so over the top. None of it was gross. You could watch this. You're just like, which feels weird because you're like, I don't know if I could. No, all the violence is so over the top, comedic. It's not gross. And it's also just full of gags and jokes, including like the first time he goes to the doctor's office and he's like the doctor's trying to explain to Peter Dinklage's character like his brain scans and like what they mean. Firstly, he shows up an image. He goes, "That's a good looking brain," and then like leaves it there. He's like, "Okay." He's like, "Anyway, I just want to show you what a good one is because pulls down. It's like, this is yours. It's obviously fucked," sort of thing. He goes, "Okay, so what you have is," and then out the most ridiculous gag that they bring back later in the film. There's just like outside some dude with a fucking jackhammer just does that whole bit which you've seen in a million movies before where the doctor's like, so what you really have is and what I'm saying is no way you could and there's no cure other than like that. So yeah, the movie's full of it thinks it's funny. So he's like, I need money because he tries to get his healthcare through the company which he works for. They're not giving it to him, so he decides, I'll go steal money from the work. And then while he's like breaking into that place, basically these people are chasing this other woman who's like kidnapped. No, she's stolen proof of the photos and evidence or whatever of the secret bad stuff that they're doing. And then they kill him. They shoot him in the head and then they chuck him into a fucking vat of toxic goo or whatever. And then he becomes the Toxic Avenger, an acidic monster dude who everyone in the town first turns on and says is horrible, but then he starts, as you see in the trailer, he like saves the day when these his group like hold up a restaurant, and he comes in and kills them all, and has a toxic mop, and he slashes across their face, and it's a lot of fun because their faces melt off and stuff. Also, I will note in the release since I've seen it, there are news articles all over the place talking about a scene that potentially would get cut, which involves a penis, or the Toxic Avengers penis. Apparently, because they're playing the unrated version, but they apparently want to take this version out, or especially for some reason to get it down to R18 plus version. I have no idea why. I don't think it's like I've seen so many worse things. It's a look. He whips out that big dick, and he has a big dick because that was part of the, you turn fucking ugly, you get a bigger dick apparently, and he has to piss on himself because he pisses acid. And he needs that to break out of handcuffs at some point. It makes perfect sense. I don't know why everyone's questioning it. Yeah, this movie, it's a lot of fun. I think it works because it knows exactly what it wants to be, which is dumb, idiotic nonsense. Watching it with a packed crowd, everyone was laughing. There was a lot of laughs. It was a good time. Everyone was just cheering when people's faces were whipped off with brooms. Everyone was laughing at all the silly jokes. This is also the best time to point out. My other funny myth story is that there was a dude behind me Friday night who I mentioned before, who sat down next to old mate who knew that dude from the film.
Yep.
He sat down next to him. Now, the reason I know this dude is because he has, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but it's factual. He has one of those laughs that you'd pick out of a fucking out of an auditorium. He's got a very specific laugh that I've never heard in my life before, and pick it out. I'm sitting here, I sit down, I'm watching Toxic Avenger. The first joke happens, I hear it behind me again. I go, you fucking kidding me? Old mate's behind me again. The same guy. Wild. Anyway, small world. Yeah, he was having a good time. He had a good time, both of you. Shout out to that guy. He was having a good time. Yeah, I don't know. It's fun. You forgot it. You watch this, you have a fun time, you forget about it. There you
go. All right. Toxic Avenger is coming to cinemas 28th of August. Next film you watched, Splitsville, a trailer we talked about a couple of weeks ago about two dudes who are apparently married to Adano and Dakota Johnson. They're like, one couple's like, I want to get divorced. The other couple's like, we're open in an open relationship. And then things get messy, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. I'll say this movie, very fucking funny. Not to spoil a segment upcoming, but there's a segment in this that I think, honestly, I feel like there's a segment in this that is probably the most I've laughed at this year, and also everyone in the audience was just laughing for probably like the full 10 minutes that it was happening. It was so over the top and ridiculous. But so the setup for this movie is that Carl Marvin's character, he co-wrote the movie with Michael Angelo Cavino, who directed it. And he's like dating what's that fucking? How do you say it?
Ajane?
Ajane. Yep. They're dating. They have a whole thing. The movie starts with, and I think this sets the tone for how like over the top at times this movie will get, even though it's trying to tell like a semi-serious. So I mean, at the heart of it, this movie is supposed to be a riff on how ridiculous, I guess, modern dating is in the 21st century. But also, the movie is full of very silly, dumb scenes, which includes, it starts with them on like they're heading out in a car to go on a holiday or whatever, and you can tell that she's like, let's do something like frisky or whatever. She like leans over, is like trying to like get his dick out to basically, go to town while they're driving, because she's like, let's do some risky stuff. Anyway, they don't cause the car accident, but a car accident happens while this is happening. This car just flips and everything like that. I'm just going to spoil one of the earliest gags in the movie because I was like, all right, this is the tone right before the title card comes up. they like get out of the car, they rush, and they like they manage to get one dude out of the car, and they're like, okay. And then they go over to the woman on the ground, and she's trying to give like CPR, and they have a good joke about he's yelling over it. It's like, no, it's 30 of these and this. They changed the rules, and she's like, who the fuck changed the rules? And he's like, I don't know, the people who are in charge of making these decisions. And I'm like, who does change those rules? But that's a good question. And then like cops turn up or whatever, and she's still like going like this and trying to give CPR and stuff. And the cop's like, oh no, stop if you want. And she's like, should I stop? And she's like, oh no, it's up to you. Was she alive? No, she's dead. Why the fuck would I keep going then? And then she turns to the left to Paul Maven's character and just goes, why the fuck's your dick out? It just cuts to a wide angle shot of he's just been running around while this car accident and shit's been happening with his dick hanging out of his fucking pants the whole time because of what the setup for this whole was. And it just cuts to like the title card, and I was like, okay, we're in for an interesting ride here. So then quickly after that, you have the breakup scene, which is what is seen in the trailer. At which point he just like beelines it, breaks out of it, and runs to his best friend's place. He's played by Michael Angelo Covino, and he's dating Dakota Johnson. And then as you see in the trailer, they're like, we're all like, we're open. We're in an open relationship. He can fuck who he wants, and she can fuck who he wants. And then he basically heads off to New York or wherever that night, and she's like, oh, he's probably fucking someone. He said he's on a work trip. And then Dakota Johnson and Kyle Marvin's character fuck, and then the next morning, it's just the most casual thing where like Michael Angelo Covino's character is like talking about some random ass shit or whatever. And then Kyle turns to him and is like, oh, by the way, me and Julie fucked last night. And yep, nope, don't take that one. What precedes is the part I was talking about, which is I think a 10 to 15 minute fight scene, which you do see a bit of in the trailer. I'll say the trailer shows probably the first like act of the movie and not a lot after it, which I also found interesting. Because the trailer is mostly from stuff within the house, which is that's only like the first act of the movie. But yeah, the 10 to 15 minute fight scene, some of the best just slapsticky type, just dudes like slamming like each other into stuff that shouldn't, and that I don't know, it's very funny. I very good shit. I think the only thing I'd say that potentially this movie like petters out a bit towards the end. I'm not sure it quite lands like I get it. I'm like, dating in the 21st century is quite funny. Hey, like I feel like that's the gag. They're like, dating in 21st century is funny. Hey, look how crazy it is. Look what you got to deal with. Look at the types of things you got to think about now. Like I'm like, I get it, but like by the time the end of the movie, I was like, I don't really get what you're trying to say really, other than it's funny. And if all you're trying to say is it's funny, I'm like, okay, like that's fine. Like I had a good time. I thought the movie was quite funny. By the end, but it's just like that last 15 minutes where you could tell, when you can watch a movie and you're like, I don't know if they know how to end this movie. Like I'm not sure if they know what the ending is. They have a lot of really good gags along the way. They have a lot of really good bits. They got some good drama in here at times and whatever else. But I'm like, I don't know if they knew. They're like, how the fuck do we end this movie? It's sort of how it felt to me. But I still very, very much enjoyed it. It was a great time.
All right. Then you finished everything up. Oh, no, wait. Splitsville is coming to cinemas 11th of September. Then you went to see The Baltimorons, new film from J.D. Plus.
This is a Christmas movie, which was weird to watch, but here we go.
Anytime's Christmas time. In your heart.
Starts on Christmas Eve, where and I'm gonna say I didn't know any of the. I'm gonna look them up because I need to know both the names. I don't know either of these people, but they were both very good. Quickly. Right, so it starts with Michael Strassner's character, who's also the co-writer, I think, alongside J.G. Plus on this. He is like heading to this Christmas Eve dinner with his fiancee, played by Olivia Liccardi, who I did know because she was from Candyland and a couple other things. There's a lot of indie movie people in this. Let's just be honest. But And then he accidentally, because he's trying to like write a text message at the same time, like walks into the door frame as he's like entering this house and like chips his tooth. So then Christmas Eve, of course, he's struggling to get a dentist. He calls around all these places and he manages to get this one lady. He's like, yeah, I'll come look after you. So he heads to the dentist's place. And I gotta be honest, I went to this movie. I'd not watched anything or looked up anything. Hold on. Pause here quickly because I gotta tell something. When I talked about what MIFF movies I was going to love week, I mentioned a documentary, right? Which I thought I'd booked. Turned out I didn't book. I hadn't bought the ticket. So when I was looking and I went to rebook it, I went, holy fuck. That documentary goes for 5.5 hours. Do I want to watch a 5.5 hour documentary, or would I rather try and find some other ways to use my time? And I decided to not rebook the documentary. I still want to watch that documentary, but I was like, maybe I'll try and do a split. So this was like when I was like looking for how I could use my other time. Anyway, that's why I don't think I mentioned this because it was sort of a last minute decision. But yes, I didn't know anything about it. I was just like, oh, JG Plus. I like the G Plus brothers. Sure, let's go watch that. So anyway, goes to the dentist. Dentist is played by Liz Larson, who is in a bunch of shit, and I can't say I recognize her from anything. And I'm not. Well, she's been in a bunch of shit over the years, but lots of obviously small parts and stuff, and whatever else. And I think it said she'd done some theater stuff when I googled or whatever. Anyway, she's fantastic. They're both great. I thought they were both really, really good in the roles. What ends up happening is she fixes fixes the tooth problem, which makes for the earliest funny scene in the movie, which is he's just super afraid of needles. The needles passes out, and she gives him like this full on like happy gas stuff, and then he's talking absolute nonsense while on happy gas, which is very funny. And then after that, it's just like he goes to leave, his car's got towed. He's like, oh my god, she's about to leave, so she's like, oh, feels bad for him. It's like, I'll drive you to where your car got towed, and you can pick it up from there. So then he goes to pick up his car. There's no one at the tow place. So then he's like doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing, and then she's like looking out for him, and you can tell that she keeps going to leave, but like keeps feeling sorry for this dude and hanging back. And then you can tell he's getting like attached to her, and then should be going home to his fiance. But you get a vibe early in the movie that like he doesn't like not like his fiance, but you know, like she's not fun, I guess is the vibe. And you also learn that he is someone who is currently 6 months sober, used to do stand-up comedy in specific like improv stuff, doesn't do it anymore because he would only do it drunk. And he also, as since we'd placed in, put this information, but the movie actually starts with him attempting to kill himself. That's how the movie starts. So you're like, oh my god, is this a comedy? Is this not a comedy? It is a comedy. And he points out later it's funny because the movie starts with him like one shot, tying like a rope around his head or whatever, steps on a stool, kicks the stool off, fucking rope breaks because he's a bigger dude and he just slams into the ground. So when he's telling the story later, he's like, you know, he's telling the dentist she's like, oh my god, that's terrible. He's like, you can laugh as well if you want. It's kind of funny. Like, the rope snapped. Like, it was, you know, so. But he's like having such a good time with her, and the night just goes on. So this movie just turns into basically one night with this random dude who just goes on this string of hijinks with this dentist that he just met, all across like different areas of Baltimore. And the movie has I can't say this is obvious because I don't know the place, but it has between different scenes, it'll cut to these like overhead shots of, you know, the car they're in or the cars at times because they're driving different cars, like going through these different streets of Baltimore and stuff. And it adds like a very like you feel like you're in the city. I guess it does a good job of like helping you feel like it's a big part of it. And the characters both between her, the accent, him, the way he looks, the accent, like it's very like you get that like. It's weird to say from all the way across here in Australia, obviously, but I'm like, I don't know. These people feel Baltimore to me. You know what I mean? Like these feel like Baltimorons or what it like. It's titled the Baltimorons because it's a bit he does as like part of his stand-up. Not to say that they are Baltimorons, but maybe they are. This movie was very funny, very wholesome. It does have one awkward scene in it, which I don't know is enough to ruin you. Otherwise, it ticks a lot of boxes for movies you like, other than the one awkward scene. And it's just weirdly a Christmas movie. Like the movie starts on Christmas Eve, it ends on Christmas mid-afternoon, Christmas Day. Like that's the trajectory of the movie. So,
all right. So do you have a favorite? If you had to give the award for audience, Dylan's choice, what would you pick?
hold on, I'll just Dylan's pick, eh? I think I would say, oh no, I can't pick one. I will say the three I enjoyed the most.
Such a cop
Because
out.
yeah, I know. I haven't thought that hard about it. I would say the three that I enjoyed the most would be Splitsville, the Baltimorons, and Blue Moon, though.
All right. Baltimorons, no Australian release there at the moment, so
I'm not shocked. So that was one I was glad to.
All right. Thankfully, it was a very quiet news week this week, so let's just move into giving
Holy
sometimes
fuck,
the
good, because
trailers.
I'm done talking.
Of course, you can find all the trailers we're about to talk about in the show notes below. Kicking things off, we've got It Was Just an Accident, directed by Jafar Panahi. Starring a bunch of people. I apologize if I butcher your names. Vahid Mobasiri, Mariam Afshari, Ibrahim Azizi, Hadis Pakabatan, Majid Panahi, and Muhammad Ali Ilasamir. What begins as a minor accident sets in motion a series of escalating consequences. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for The Palm Dior winner?
Yeah, obviously I'm very interested in this movie already. I think the trailer does a good job at just like again setting the moral dilemma that I guess the movie's trying to tell. Like it's like they think it's the guy. Is it the guy? And even if it is the guy, what's right or wrong? You know, like there's a lot of interesting questions here. So double thumbs up. Keen to watch this still.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up. Well put together trailer. Just having that woman in a wedding dress the entire time, where they're kidnapping or almost torturing this person. Very interesting visual. And yeah, I think it did enough to garner interest, gave enough accolades and that kind of stuff to get you interested. So yeah, It Was Just an Accident. It's coming to Australian cinemas the 8th of January. Next trailer is for Eleanor the Great, directed by Scarlett Johansson, starring June Squibb, Erin Kellyman, Jessica Hetch, and Chiwetel Ejiofor. A 94-year-old Floridian woman strikes up an unlikely friendship with a 19-year-old student in New York City. Dylan, what did you think of the trailer for Eleanor the Great?
I'm gonna go one up, one down on this one. I think obviously June Squibb looks a lot of fun in this. I think outside of her, I wasn't like super. I don't know. I just wasn't feeling super invested, I guess. Obviously the film's supposed to be, it's got this very like, what do you want to call it? Like,
it seems like it's going to be a story about an
like,
old woman and a young person. These people from just different generations getting to know each other and become found family or something like that.
There's just I couldn't fully like a lot of it. I was just trying, so I'll go one up, one down. I wasn't like fully invested in a lot of amounts as much as I'm like June Squibb being June Squibb. Yeah, sure. Especially when the trailer starts and she's talking about fucking this other woman's husband, whatever.
Yes, I'm one up, one down, almost leading into 2 down territory. Not because I don't enjoy what I saw in this trailer. I just think it's a badly put together trailer. Just very disjointed. And the trailer does not tell a story in any sort of way. It seems like it's just cut a bunch of scenes together, and even they seem out of order because then you get the June Squibb scene at the start, and then you get another June Squibb scene at the end, and they don't seem to fit with what's in the middle. It seems like they give too much away and not enough at the same time.
Yeah, thematically, it's a bit of a confusing trailer.
Yes. That said, June Squibb looks great. I'm looking forward to checking it out. Eleanor the Great, releasing in the US on September 26th. No Australian release date. Next trailer is for Steve, directed by Tim Mylance, starring Cillian Murphy, Tracy Ullman, Jay Lokurgo, Simbi Aki Ajikawa, and Emily Watson. Steve is a head teacher in charge of a school for boys with societal and behavioral issues. So, what do you think of the trailer for Steve?
I'm gonna go one up, one down. I think obviously it's a very interestingly put together trailer. Like visually and the way it's all meant to, I guess, portray this headspace of someone or potential somebodies within this school he's working at. Obviously seeing like Academy Award winner Cillian Murphy is like I'm still like, yeah, that's true. Hey, apparently the book's very good. I did a quick Google. They're like, oh, the book's well loved or whatever. It's based on called Shy, which is the one of the kids in the trailer or whatever. So, I think the other thing that maybe would have me more interesting is I still haven't watched Small Things Like These, which was the director's movie that came out last year that also starred Cillian Murphy, which I've had on my Apple TV watch list for, I don't know, like a year now, and I still haven't got around to watching it. So might help me get more excited for this. But yeah, I'll go one up, one down. So.
Yeah, I'll give one up, one down. I think it's a very evocative trailer and like visually very interesting. Cillian Murphy looks really great. Like all the kids around him look solid and that kind of stuff. So very odd collectment of actors in this as well. So when's the last time you saw Tracy Ullman or Emily Watson in anything really? Yeah, very odd, but intriguing at the same time. Especially like that whole sequence where the fire alarm goes off and he's just like trying to like take it in. Very interesting. Steve is coming to Netflix on the 3rd of October. Next trailer is for Swiped, directed by Rachel Lee Goldenberg, starring Lily James, Dan Stevens, Mahala, and Jackson White. Inspired by the real-life story, the film follows recent college graduate Whitney as she uses extraordinary grit and ingenuity to break into the male-dominated tech industry and launch an innovative, global lauded dating app, paving the way to become the youngest female self-made billionaire. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for Swiped?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go double thumbs up for the trailer. I think it's like as far as like telling the story or like getting your interest in there. I think you know what you're in for with this. It's not trying to do the Social Network as much as every time that's sort of what he'll go for. It's not going for that full vibe, but it is trying to tell this interesting story, which is this woman who was involved in the huge success of Tinder and then basically forced out of the company because of dudes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Dudes being dudes, and then goes and starts Bumble. Still at Bumble as well. I did it after the trailer finished. I was like, is she still there? I remember hearing the story when like she was having a court case over Tinder, Bumble, or whatever, like a few years back. But I was like, is she still there? I was like, Google it. Yeah, she's still there. So there you go. Yeah, I think that also I looked up the director. She was one of the creators of that show. I liked on Netflix. Was it Netflix? Fuck, what was it called? Hold on, I really need to find this out. Hold on. Minx. Remember that one? Was that Netflix? No, that wasn't Netflix, was it? I don't know. Anyway, no, that was Stan. I think because it was the Star series.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, that was.
Yeah. It was on Stan.
Was it Olivia Lobby
about the erotic.
Yeah, Girl Boss material.
Yes,
the erotic magazine Girl Boss story. So same sort of like obviously the directors sort of drawn to those these sorts of stories, I guess. Yeah, it looks good. I'm keen to watch it. I'll go double thumbs up.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up from me as well. I think it looks really interesting and like really like. I mean, it's not Social Network, but you get Social Network vibes just because of the subject matter and it being in that tech bro crime space.
Well, the thing is, Social Network is from the point of view of the dude bros, and this is from the opposite end of the table, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably closer. We've had a bunch of like films based around recent successful tech people. Most of them like the rise and fall. This one just seems to be the rise and plateau. So, is that going to be as interesting? Now that did have
I
their
think
downfall?
I mean that's a bigger question. I think if a character doesn't have a downfall, then what's the story?
It's like,
But,
yes,
I
they
mean,
continue to be rich.
No, well, her story here is obviously it's going to be
It's going to be the overcoming
it's a legal battle after she like leaves Tinder and starts
Bumble. Yeah.
but then there's a whole court case between her and the Tinder dudes or whatever. So
yeah, all right, yeah, looks pretty solid. Swiped is coming to Disney Plus on 19th of September. Last trailer for this week. Mighty Supreme, directed by Josh Safdie, starring Timothy Chalamet, Gwyneth Paltrow, Odessa Azion, Kevin O'Leary, Tyler Okanama, Abel Ferreira, and Fran Drescher. Marty Bowser, a young man with a dream no one respects, goes to hell and back in pursuit of greatness. Tell them what you think of the trailer for Mighty Supreme.
yeah, I mean, double thumbs up. I mean, I feel like most people who like films have been keen for this since it was announced, probably. So, I mean, Josh Safdie's new film, written by him alongside the what's the dude's name? Ronald Bronstein, who co-writer on Uncut Gems as well, with Benny Safdie as well, who's obviously not involved in this because the Safdie brothers are on their solo journeys right now. One of them's in Adam Sandler movies, the other one is over here. So yeah, I mean, look, obviously Timothy Chalamet looks to have a great time. Odessa Azion? Whatever. Yeah, period piece sort of setting, I think, makes it interesting as well. It almost feels like you're watching a true story. It's not a true story, though, is it? It's not based on anything, is it?
No, it's completely fictional.
Yeah. So but like when you're watching the movie, it makes it. I feel like it gives you the feeling like you're watching, which sort of works. You got a dude who's like he's a dude who's talking himself up and in the pursuit of being a big time star and wants to be loved and respected by everyone. I think if the trailer makes you go, oh, is this like someone I've never heard of, or is this a famous actor who I don't know, sort of thing? I'm like, it's sort of like the trailer's doing its own job at selling this character to us as the audience. So, yeah, double thumbs up, super keen.
Yeah, two thumbs up. Timothy Chalamet just looks like he's playing the weirdest, craziest character possible, and I'm here for it. If he's playing the ping pong scenes, the table tennis scenes, intense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm excited to see. The shot I'm excited to see in action is the one shot where he's blowing the table tennis ball. I want to see how they get to that moment. It's, is he going to be on the Wheaties boxes? I don't know. It's also weird that he seems to be pursuing Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't know what the relationship is in this, but it's interesting.
I just Googled it. It is loosely based on a real guy called Marty Reisman, who was, Wikipedia page says, was an American champion table tennis player and author.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it does say in the Wikipedia. All right. Mighty Supreme is coming to US and Canadian cinemas on the 25th of December. It's an A24 film, so it's got no Australian release date.
It might get pushed because Civil War came to cinemas. Yeah, all fine. And this one is now going to be their next high budget.
Yes, $70 million budget.
Film,
so they need to make that money back. So
yeah, so I would expect this one to actually,
as we suspect, Timmy's trying to get another Oscar push this year.
Yeah,
expect to see it at least before February. At least before the end of February, I'd say.
Boxing Day release.
I don't know if we'll get day to day, but we'll see.
January 1st.
All right, let's move into this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
And based on a discussion that we had last week, we said, man, when was the last time we saw a comedy in the cinema? That seemed pretty rare. This week's top 3 is top 3 comedies we saw in the cinemas recently.
My list is boring because I've got no follow.
You know?
I had to be honest.
All right. Dylan, what's number 3?
The Baltimorons. I think it is a sad state of affairs, and this is the truth. Hollywood
I don't think you
are basically
capturing
dead.
the true feeling of this topic, this top 3.
I feel like you asked the question, what was the top 3 comedies you saw in the cinema? Read your fucking message.
It's true. I just feel like you didn't capture the spirit.
What was the spirit?
What comedies did you see in the cinema that weren't part of a major film festival where you specifically went to see movies that may never be screened ever again?
Every other comedy I've watched has been shit. That's not fine. That means they're not best.
All right. My number 3. Movie I saw in 2023.
You said, hold on, mate.
Recent is, that's how far we have to stretch out to get to recent.
I'm sorry. When I read the word recent, I thought
recent is in the last few years.
Just the last couple of years. Yeah, just the last couple of years.
You know?
That's a fucking.
Well, if I had just left it as top 3 comedies you saw in the cinema, it'd be all 90s movies.
Top 3 comedies you've seen in the cinemas in the last couple of years.
Bottoms, great movie.
Vote round, audience, listeners. If someone says recent, do you think maybe this year, maybe last couple of months, or do you think last couple of years?
It's however long it takes to fit the category.
How long is recent, Google? Recent generally refers to a time period that is not long past, but the specific length of time it encompasses can vary depending on context. It could mean a few days, weeks, months, or even a few years.
See the context?
The context.
We haven't seen any good comedies in the cinemas. What's the one you've seen recently?
The context is we go to the cinema often. So saying recent shortens the recent time frame.
Bottoms, Edda Berry, Rachel Sennott played 2 high schoolers who start a fight club in order to pick up 2 cheerleaders. It's a great movie, underwatched, very weird tone. You need to watch it. Dylan, what's the number 2?
You're fucking waiting now. I'm looking for my Trakt to see if I'm changing my mind. Fucking recent. You're my recent fucking. You're my recent problem, is what you are. In cinemas, is that the question? I just want to clarify.
In cinemas.
Right. Okay. Recently. Something I watched in cinemas recently. Yeah. So I'm into 2023. So you've picked something for 2023, right?
Yes.
So I'm just going to scroll back for at least to the end of this year. Should I go to 2022? Is that still recent or?
Yeah, I think so. I will say all 3 of mine are from 2023. Weirdly. Good year for comedies.
Okay.
In cinemas.
Yeah. All right, I've changed my list.
All right. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is I'm not picking anything I've watched too recent. We're only picking from stuff I've watched recently.
Yeah.
Which is different to stuff too
not
recent.
Imminently.
Which would be yesterday.
Yeah. Unless do you think that's the top 3 of those things?
I don't feel like I have enough time to really decide how recently I feel about it. So number 3, The Naked Gun, which I watched last week.
Okay.
Which, yeah, I already said it was a great time. You haven't watched this, have you?
No, I haven't watched
this, did you? No. It's a great time. It's again, gags a minute. The whole cinema was laughing. Until I went and watched these other movies recently, which will not make this list because they're too recent. I forgot what it was like to laugh in a cinema with people, so that felt good.
Reason we spawned this list.
Yeah, so it makes sense to be number 3. So it's great. It's got a whole. It's got a whole. No, I'm still not spoiling it. Anyway, great bit in it.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Joyride.
My number 2 is Joyride.
There we go. So now we're talking. Now we're talking about some recency bias.
Yeah. A bunch of a Korean immigrant. No, a daughter of Koreans who's been adopted by a white family goes to Korea and to impress a boss in a meeting has to go find her parents in Korea. And shenanigans ensue, including sticking a bunch of cocaine
our boy
up
Ronnie Chang.
the body. Our boy Ronnie Chang?
Yeah. You know who else is in this?
A lot of people. Daniel
Day-Kim.
Spoilers. What's your number 1?
My number 1 movie that I remember laughing at a lot in the cinema recently was the 2022 film Jackass Forever.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair. Unsurprising.
Yeah, that's obviously franchise near and dear to my heart. That honestly probably like it's still no, like 2022 obviously a few years back, and that's the sad state of affair for mainstream Hollywood comedies. I think I still don't think anything could touch the amount of consistent laughter from the audience the night I watched that. So yeah,
my number 1 is Barbie. What a great movie. Lots of jokes, very funny.
I think it's funny at all.
You don't think it's funny at all?
I think it's a sad look at our patriarchy.
The downfall of the patriarchy and horses.
Not enough horses.
Not enough horses.
We lost what we had, man.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. All right. Dylan, this week, what do you watch?
Fuck. What do I want to watch?
Do you want to watch anything?
Yeah, man. It's so funny. I got to work today. People are like, I got home at 11:30 p.m. last night. I had to wake up at 5:15 this morning to go to work, so that was great. Anyway, people are like, what'd you do? What'd you go? You try to explain. It's like, what'd you do when you go to Millville? I was like, I went to watch movies. Everyone's reaction is the same. You went to movies to watch movies? Aren't they fucking playing them here? You know, like, it's just like, no, it was a film festival. What's a film festival? Like, anyway, here we are. We're doing with it. What do I want to watch this weekend? I actually haven't looked. Give me a second. What is it? Where am I? What's the date? Here we go. This week. I think I'm gonna go with. Well, I don't think it's coming here, but I would pick Eddington as my cinema pick for this week. Obviously, the new Ari Aster film that is about COVID, small town American shit. And then TV show wise, it's got to be Peacemaker season 2.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, I mean, Eddington would be pretty cool. Naked Gun finally releases this week. Properly.
Yeah, probably. I forgot that that they did such an early screening.
Yes, definitely keen for Peacemaker. I would say Eeny Meeny, the Samara Weaving film that's releasing on Disney Plus this week. Would be a pick. You know, finally a car getaway driver movie that we can get behind. And then Netflix, there's a new animated series called A Long Story Short from the creator of BoJack Horseman that is definitely interesting to me at the very least. So yeah. Let us know what you're excited to watch this week. And are you the person who was laughing in all the Dylan screenings? Let us know on Blue Sky at explosionnetwork.com or on other social media at ExplosionPod. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars, and you can leave 5 stars or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.